It was one of my favorite attractions at Kings Island, but it did not have a long shelf life, operating from 1972 to 1981. Hello, everyone. Alongside Ryan Sir, I'm Don Helbig, and this is Tower Topics.
Tower Topics is a podcast by Kings Island fans for Kings Island fans, because that's who we are, and that's who we care about. So I didn't get to ride this one, Don. So the Rotor. Brief me on what it was.
Well, the Rotor was located in Oktoberfest, approximately, the current location of the Action Zone entrance from 1972 to 73. Then it got relocated to the left side of the current location of the Fest House, where it operated from 1974 to 1981. It was Chance Manufacturing was the creator of the ride. It was a stick to the walls, kind of a spinning flat ride. Guests would stand against the wall of a large circular drum and be pressed against it by the centrifugal forces as it began to spin. It would just go faster and faster and faster, and then the floor would drop. It was just, so much fun. And just looking at everyone's faces across from you as they're stuck to the wall. I really enjoyed this attraction.
It's funny because the picture that the only picture I was able to find, because it seems like if I Google even Kings Island Rotor, I get a bunch of photos of like rides named Rotor at other parks that aren't the same model or anything.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm able to find, but it feels like anytime you see a picture of this particular attraction, it's like
black and white.
It's black and white, and it's they're wearing period clothing and stuff. But yeah. So I rode something semi-similar to this at Space Camp in Huntsville, Alabama, when I was in the 6th grade. And so you would stand on these things, and I think they actually had a semi-seatbelt, kind of like the Goose Roundup have now. And when you would spin, the seats would, or the couches, I guess, think they called them, would tilt back, and eventually they were on rollers. They would roll up, so you'd be off the ground. But this didn't have that. Did the floor drop out? Is that what happened?
The floor would drop. Yeah, you would stand against the wall. They would ask you to have your heels not against the wall, your arms and that flat against the wall, and then it would start spinning, and it would go faster and faster, and then the floor would drop, and you'd just be kind of stuck there. You could almost feel yourself a little bit. It was almost like Velcro, but you could almost feel yourself like slipping down just a little bit. And then, the floor would come back up, and then, it would finish its last couple of cycles going around. But my first experience with it was not at Kings Island. It was 1969 at Coney Island. I'm just a little kid at that point in time. But me and my sister did that. And, it was just a lot of fun. And I was excited to see that ride was among those that was relocated to Kings Island for its opening in 1972. Not the kind of ride that you would want to go on if you had just eaten, your lunch or dinner. There was a lot of people that, not while it was spinning, did I ever see it, but there was a lot of guests. They would get off the ride, start to walk down the steps, and they just kind of lean over, and then they'd lose their lunch or dinner. But I loved it. I mean, it was a lot of fun.
So you mentioned that you rode it in 1969 at Coney Island, but my understanding is that was the second Rotor to be at Coney Island.
Correct. That was not the original one. So it was one that had replaced the original, which I think that one opened in the 1950s there. And then this one came in later in 1969. But it was near, if you went to the park at that time, and it was by the Bavarian Beetle. So it was, if you're going to be in that area of the park, I'd ride the Rotor, ride the Bavarian Beetle. But it was fun. When you're talking about flat rides and that, I mean, this was almost as good as it got back in that era.
Do you think that something like this would fly in today's world? Like, do you know of any of them that still exist?
There's still a couple of them out there, but yeah, I think it would still work. I mean, you think about parks that have old type rides. Let's talk about Kennywood. I mean, you got the Kangaroo, you've got the Turtle is back in operation this year. So they still have a lot of those old classics. So yeah, I think something like this, had it not been removed, I think it would still be, popular with guests today.
Yeah. Now, in the image that we're looking at, there's two patrons there upside down. I have heard stories that they were very much against that. What would happen?
They were against it.
What would happen if when the floor came up, if someone was upside down, would they be able to
Well, no,
flip
I mean,
over?
it would just come to where their head was. I mean, if they were like standing on their head and the thing started going, you would be stuck to the wall that way, and then it would just, kind of come back up where you were. And then as it ended, you would just kind of, flop down probably right there. But I mean, I mean, they didn't have everybody, with the safety and all that stuff. You would never get away with something like that today. And maybe that's, a ride because of, like I said, there are no any kind of harness or seatbelt or anything keeping you on the wall. I think that might be something that would, be frowned upon, having a ride like that in the park today. But it was a lot of fun, and I still think if it was there and they were okay with the way it operated, I think it would still be popular.
And then it was removed in 1981, or 1981 was the final season, at least.
Final season, yeah. My first year as a season pass holder, and I kind of got wind toward the end of the year that it was going to be taken out. Some of the associates on the racer had told me that if you want to get your final rides in, that's not coming back next year. So I made sure, to ride it toward the end of the season a few times just to make sure I got those final spins in.
So was this one of those things where you knew because like maybe a ride operator had told you, but at the time you kind of mentioned with like the witch's cauldron and stuff like that, where you just show up on opening day and a ride's gone.
It used to be like that. Yes. Yeah. So this was one of the, back then there wasn't social media. There weren't fan sites. There weren't podcasts like you and I do. So if you missed, the story, if it wasn't a big major ride, it was just going to be a couple of paragraphs, in the Cincinnati Enquirer, Cincinnati Post, Dayton Daily News. So if you didn't catch that, you'd show up the next year and, oh, where's the Rotor? It's gone. Where's Bavarian Beetle? It's gone. So it's definitely a different, world that we lived in back then. But as time went on, I would get told when certain attractions were leaving, like the Tumblebug, by members of the marketing team. And they would just say, hey, know you like the ride, just be sure to ride it the final weekend, because it's not going to be back next year. So they trusted I wasn't going to say anything about it, and I never did. But I wouldn't say I was on the last, cycle for it, but I would say I was on probably one of the last 10, for it. There was a lot of, like I said, it was popular, so it wasn't like you were just going to walk up and get on it ever. There was always a little bit of a line for it. So I was just happy that, I was able to know that it wasn't coming back. And it was not a surprise for me when I visited the Oktoberfest area of the park in 1982 and it wasn't there.
Yeah, that would have been a bummer, especially like, if it's your favorite ride or whatever, and you show up, it's just gone. Like, what if you just showed up and Diamondback was gone or Flight of Fear was gone? That'd be horrible.
And that would happen though with some different things around the park, even with restaurants that, nowadays, when they're changing it out, it might be the same building, but it's going to have a different name, different menu and that. And I remember the Lunch Basket was a place that I went to, frequented a lot my first few years as a pass holder. And then, at 1986, I show up and Skyline Chili, so different things like that. It was always some things that would surprise me. But when it came to attractions, by the time it got to, 1982, 83, 84, from that point on, I always knew what wasn't coming back. But the Sky Ride was one of those rides too that when that was removed, I didn't know that was not going to be back. And then it didn't hit me right away when I walked in the park. It just, something looks different. Oh yeah, that's right. It's not going across the front of the Eiffel Tower anymore.
Yeah, that would have been like a gaping hole, even more so than like the vortex in the back of the park, the Sky Ride being gone, because that was part of the cityscape.
It was part of, yeah, exactly, with that. So that wasn't something that, there was a lot of awareness about it back then. But if you're listening to the show here and you're a long time Kings Island fan, you visited the park in the 70s and up to 1981, and you got to experience the Rotor. Leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube. Let us know what you remember about the ride. Is it something that you would still find fun and thrilling today? We'd love to know.
Yeah, definitely want to know. And have you ridden anything like this? I'd love to hear if anybody knows of any of these that are out there. I think there's some on the fair circuit, but if you've ever ridden one, especially at a permanent park installation, I want to know about it. So let us know in the comments below. Drop your comment in there. But So I mentioned in the picture that these people were dressed to like a certain period. I think these guys are probably 70s or so it's not too old of a photo. But if you wanted to modernize one of these people, what kind of shirt would you ask him to wear?
Well, I think the perfect shirt to wear on a ride like that would be, all right, kind of what you and I are wearing. A Tower Topics t-shirt. Comes in this North Carolina blue color. The logo that you designed, Ryan, I think looks great on this shirt. We have a lot of fans of the show that have purchased one of these shirts, and you can too. Just go to Tower_Topics, send us a direct message, let us know what size you need, your mailing address, and we'll send you the code to make the purchase via Venmo, and then it'll be sent out to you within a matter of days. The shirts come in whatever size you may need, and it's as simple as that.
Yeah, it's a $22 including shipping, so it's cheaper than most shirts.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's a real comfortable shirt, don't you think? I mean, it's a real comfortable t-shirt.
Oh, yeah, I love it. It's like airy and stuff. It's very nice. But yeah, we'll be right back with the listener questions. So the first listener question is from Samantha G in Loveland, Ohio. How's the Summer of Dawn going?
Summer of Dawn. Yeah, remember we talked about that. I think it was back in March, April.
Yeah.
When that first came up. So yeah, I was decided to buy a pass, was going to go to a lot of different parks, had season passes to, Kings Island, the All Park Passport, Six Flags, Kentucky Kingdom, Dollywood, Holiday World, and a couple other places. And I wanted to spend the summer. Now it's been a long time since I had the ability to kind of, just get up in the morning and kind of do what I wanted to do whenever I wanted to do it. So I thought this would be the perfect year to kind of get back to, what I did back in the early 1980s through 1990, and wanted to travel around, wanted to see different parks. And as we, are now in July, it's gone very well. I've been, I think, Dollywood 4 or 5 times, Holiday World, 4 or 5 visits there. Got to Kentucky Kingdom. Just got back from visiting Six Flags Great America in Chicago. Dorney, or not Dorney Park, Camden Park, is another one. So yeah, I mean, it's been fun. It's been it's kind of rejuvenated me to be able to just go back to my roots as a park fan, and to just have fun.
What so of all like the new coasters, and I mean you really haven't visited any new parks, but of all the new coasters you've gotten to ride, do you have a favorite? Does one of them stand out to you at this point?
I would go with Good Gravy at Holiday World, because it's not just a ride, it's an experience. The theming in that, it's something you would expect to see at a Universal. So
Yeah.
I think for me, that would be, one of the new rides that I've ridden this year. I would go with that. It's probably the one that stands out.
Yeah, I mean, Good Gravy, that is fun. And again, sometimes a ride is the sum of all parts, and the ride experience itself is just a percentage of it, and that's certainly one. But you got to visit Camden Park.
Yeah, Goliath at Six Flags Great America. I had not been on that one. That was fun and thrilling. Viper was another one. I had never ridden that one. That came after I had a season pass to Six Flags, 1988 to 1993, and was there maybe once every 5 or 6 weeks. But that wasn't there at that time. So that's another new one that I really liked as well. And the Texas Stingray. Oh my gosh, at the SeaWorld in San Antonio.
I forgot you went out there.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was an incredible coaster, and that definitely jumped into my top 10 for wooden coasters after riding that. So yeah, I mean, there's been some different rides, but I always end up circling back, a lot of times to old time favorites. You got the Voyage, the Legend, the Raven at Holiday World. I'll be going back to Kennywood again soon. Love their 3 wooden coasters with the Thunderbolt, the Racer, Jackrabbit. So it's rides like that I still find myself loving and spending a lot of time with.
Yeah, the classics often are the better ones. There's got to be a special place in your heart for some of those classics. But I'm glad you get to travel around and stuff. I think the first park that you went to was the official kickoff of Summer of Dawn was probably Camden Park, right? I know you went to San Diego earlier, but that was part of a speaking engagement that you did. But
yeah, with that. But I mean, the other part about it, when people they see me and they can tell that I've definitely been outside because I've got a pretty good tan, that I've built up there. But I just summer, love being outside, love going to different amusement and theme parks. Everywhere I've gone, there's been people there that recognize me, and get to hang out with them a little bit too. So it's just been fun. It's kind of come full circle. Like I said, I feel rejuvenated as a coaster enthusiast, and it's been fun. It's been exciting, and I'm just living my best life this summer.
That's awesome. Cool. Hey, great question. Tony M said, from whereabouts unknown. I know this is a podcast for Kings Island fans and all that jazz. Well, that's a step in the right direction. But do you guys have any insight of what's going on with Top Thrill 2 at Cedar Point? As far as insight is concerned, I don't know anything. You don't know anything. I'm shocked that it's still closed, though. I thought they would have
Ryan,
this thing together.
I have spent zero time trying to figure out what's going on with that. A lot of it consumes a lot of the coaster enthusiasts. They all have their theories on what the issue is and all that. I look at it as I have people telling me what they think it is, or people will send me photos that they were at the park and they saw maintenance working on this or that part of it, and I appreciate that. But for me, I think that just let them work out the issue, and when it opens, it opens. It doesn't do me any good to spend a lot of energy trying to figure it out. I'll wait on the park to tell us either what it is or it reopens, and instead of spending all that energy on that, I'm just out enjoying what there is to experience throughout the industry, which there's a lot of great rides out there. It's not all about one. And
I mean,
I plan to visit the Cedar Point soon. If it's not open, it's not going to ruin my trip. I mean, I'm going to love riding Millennium Force, Maverick, Magnum, Raptor, Blue Streak celebrating its 60th anniversary at the train ride. I mean, there's just so much to see and do there that it's not going to impact me. Is there disappointment that's not open? Yeah, I mean, I wish it was open, but I'm not on the chase to try to figure it out, to try to get any insight or anything like that. And, we'll let Cedar Point, when they tell us, great. And we'll be talking about that on our other podcast, the Attractions Group podcast.
Yeah, I'm going to dissent from what you're saying just a little bit. I'm not going to go as far as saying like I won't go to Cedar Point because of Top Thrill 2 not being open, or that I'm mad or anything like that. But you said you put zero energy into trying to figure it out and stuff. Like, I mean, I guess technically I have too, but I really am enjoying hearing people's theories, and especially the ones that have like some sort of basis to do this, and it's not just some dude. But there's a video from Ryan the Ride Mechanic that came out. He's a friend of the show.
I mean, those kind of things are interesting. Yeah, I mean, I like watching that kind of content that Ryan the Mechanic puts out there. He's credible. He kind of has a pretty good idea what he's talking about. But what I meant is, I'm not every day thinking, okay, why aren't they announcing what's going on, or I wonder if they're doing this or wondering that, or messaging a lot of people that have been to Cedar Point. What did you see? What did you hear? I'm not doing any of those kind of things. But if something comes across like Ryan the Mechanic, we have some other people that you and I know that have popular and successful YouTube channels. They've given their analysis on what they think's going on. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy those kind of shows and that, but I'm not, like I said, I'm not myself, investing time trying to figure it out myself. I'll watch other people, but I'm not doing that.
I feel like if it was at Kings Island, you and I would invest time into figuring it out. But since it's not, like, we don't care that much. But totally joking. But yeah, so Ryan comes out with a video. All of his videos are fantastic, so definitely check him out. He was a ride mechanic at a park out on the West Coast for a while. Has some great stories and stuff. But every once in a while, he comes out with a Top Thrill 2 video just based on what people have sent him. And he theorizes based on that. Like, he was one of the first to say, like, it's the wheels are the wheel bogies, and we probably know that that's true, I guess, at this point. And then people were following up with him saying, like, hey, it's been another month, like, what's going on? And his theory right now, and again, like, he doesn't know, he doesn't work for Cedar Fair or Six Flags or the combined company or anything, but he was saying that maybe with the merger, like, it put a stall to stuff because whatever this fix is, we have no idea. It could be something that's just labor intensive and that's taking a while, or it could be something that costs $5 million. So he was speculating that if it's something expensive, maybe they had to put the brakes on it for now because of the merger. And then they'll pick it up again here soon because the merger is completed, which would be pretty terrible news for Cedar Point, because they need this ride open. This has got to hurt, But
yeah,
as
look at the
stated,
flip side here, Ryan. Yeah, for me too. I have the Theme Parks by Don blog, and whenever I do anything about Cedar Point, it gets pretty good traffic to that website. So for me, I'm leaving traffic on the table by not doing some of these speculation pieces and all that. But the way I look at it, I mean, it's just I don't want to guess or anything like that, or I want it. I just want to wait until Cedar Point tells us it's what's going on, or it's open or whatever. Then I'll respond and do something off of that. I'm not going to write the speculation pieces on my blog. It's not what I wanted that to be about.
To be clear, though, I'm super stoked to ride it eventually.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if I would have necessarily made it out by now anyway. So I'm not at that phase where I'm like disappointed it's not open. More than anything, as an outsider looking in, I'm kind of intrigued that it's taken this long. I feel bad for Cedar Point and Zamperla, but
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you put yourself in the shoes of the people at Cedar Point. Tony Clark, what he has to deal with every day. He probably can't. I remember with Son of Beast when that was idle. Anytime I walked out in the park at Kings Island, people were coming up asking me about it. What's going on with this? Is it going to reopen? What do you know? And I'm sure it's the same situation, for Tony. If people recognize him, if he's shopping at Meijer in Sandusky, they're going to come up and they're going to say, Tony, what's going on with Top Thrill 2? So it's just one of those things that I feel for Tony. I feel for the team at Cedar Point, and hopefully it gets the issue gets resolved. They have a fix for it, and it's back in operation, because everything that you and I had heard, the 7 or 8 days that it operated, it was fantastic.
Yeah, and it blew away people's expectations. So that is a fantastic question, Tony from Parts Unknown. I wonder if it's Tony Clark. No, this is Tony M. It's not the same guy. Hey, I'm Ryan Sir, along with Don Helbig, and this is Tower Topics.